Hello there guys and welcome to this weekend's action for IFMC here at the Hungary in Budapest. I am JWF1 and as mentioned we're here at Budapest for this weekend's action of the Hungarian Grand Prix, and we're going to kick things off with the qualifying session to determine the grid for the feature race for IFMC GP2. And if you didn't see what happened last week in Germany, the championship yet again flipped on its head with Felix Rosenqvist running into problems during the feature race, and as a result now both Russell and Rosenqvist are tied at the top of the championship, with Russell ahead of Rosenqvist in the championship thanks due to the fact that Russell has more victories than Rosenqvist this season. And we've got a bright and sunny day in store here at Budapest. Just a couple of notes for you. One is a big thing that you'll notice on the track. We have a new layout for Budapest. Unlike season 2 and 3, where we were running the late 80s layout, and season 1 we were running the late 90s layout. This season we are using the up-to-date Budapest. So the one that is used nowadays, we actually have a track that works for it. So hopefully we'll be in for a good weekend. Another note as well, Yuri Vips in the RSPCA racing car has a qualifying ban for what he did in the feature race at Germany. So with Sergio Sette, so he will not take part during this qualifying session. And as you can see, we've got bright and sunny conditions coming your way. So I think without further ado then, as I've mentioned enough, let's get to the 35-minute qualifying session for IFMC GP2. So here we are then in the pit lane, and we're going to go to the end of the pit lane let's go to the end of the pit lane with Dan Ticktum. So we will wait and get the session underway. Of course, Yuri Vips, his teammate, watching on from the sidelines due to his qualifying ban, so he will not take part in this session. But we've got a 35-minute session, 21 cars taking part in this qualifying session. Let's see who's going to get the bonus point this weekend, as we're going to have some track activity in the form of Dan Ticktum's OSPCA racing car. So Dan Ticktum, the first man out on the track, and here he is as he comes down towards turn 1. Ticktum out on track now then, as he will prepare to start his next flying lap. And so to start the first flying lap, as he will now come around turn 3. And the big question, I think, of course, coming into this track, of course, here at Budapest, is that will there be more overtaking opportunities now that we've got the tighter turn 1 than what we have done in the past? Of course, we have seen overtaking down at the old turn 1 before, but it's usually been tricky for guys to overtake down there, just mainly because either their rival shuts the door on them, or whether they just don't have enough momentum to get around turn 1. Because the fact was, they went around a very long turn 1, of course. It was pretty much a loop, really, if you want to call it that. But now we've got the tighter turn 1 as it is in real life. And the curbs, of course, are not the curbs that you see in real life. They're more of just coloured curbs. But it doesn't matter, really. We've still got the sponsorship boards and the grass as well. So that's important. At least there's no invisible flooring like we've seen from tracks I've tried to use in the past, like the new up-to-date Hockenheim. That's got some flooring issues on it. But anyway, here is then Dan Ticktum, who's about to start a lap. Also on the track, we have Lance Stroll in the GRM. George Russell, the current championship leader, is out on track, as he'll come around the right-hander. Sergei Sirotkin out on track for EMR. We also have Sean Galayo out there. Louis Razia out on the track, as is Sergio Sette. He's out there, as is Sasha Fenestraz, Luca Giotto. Mitch Evans is out on the track as well. We also have Nobuharu Masushita out on track as well, as is Lando Norris. Lucas Jura out on the track as well. And Ticktum just started a lap there, and that's that really. I think that's 13 cars out on the track. Yes, it is, as Ticktum comes down the hill towards this right-hander, as he will now go up the hill towards the left-hander on the track. This quick left-hander, as he flicks the car in through the corner, up towards this long right-hander before approaching the chicane on the track. And whether we'll see some overtaking like we've seen the previous seasons around this track, we'll wait and see. Ticktum comes out of that corner now, and up towards the S's he will go. And as mentioned, Ticktum will be the one setting the benchmark time for everybody to beat, as he rounds the S's now in on the track. Up towards the final few turns goes Dan Ticktum, just using a little bit of tarmac on the outside as you come down towards this right-hander. And round the right-hander he will go, using a little bit of the curb on the outside. He will now come towards the final 2 turns, and let's see what Ticktum is able to do then on this flying lap, as he will now come up towards the final corner, and he'll soon go onto the pit straight. So running on board with Tictum as he comes down the pit straight and across the line goes Dan. What's the time going to be? It's a 1:26.717. So that's the time for everybody to beat. Let's see what Lance Stroll is able to deliver in the GRM as he rounds the final turn. And across the line soon will come the Canadian as he comes down the pit straight. And let's see what Stroll's time is going to be. He will slot fastest for the moment with a 1:26.238. Russell slots only to second with that. That's only P2 for championship leader George Russell. Sergei Sirotkin now goes fastest. So Sirotkin onto the top of the timing sheet. Here comes Sean Galayo, who around the final turn. And let's see what Galayo can do as he rounds the final corner onto the pit straight. Galayo now then crossing the line, and he goes 4th fastest for the moment with that lap. P5 for Louis Razia. Here comes Sergio Sette Camara, who goes up to 7th, so P7 for the Brazilian. Here comes Sacha Fenestraz. He crosses the line to go P8 behind Camara. P6 for Luca Chiotto. Mitch Evans 7th for him, as it's P10 for Nobuharu Masushita. P4 for Lando Norris, and here comes Lucas Jura. He's now going to cross the line to go P6 himself in the Vortex, so suiting to his driving style, like Mr. said. But at the moment, it is currently Sergei Sirotkin that is currently fastest in the EMR, with Lance Stroll in second and George Russell, who rounds out the top 3. But we've still got 8 more cars to do a lap, so that could all change still, and we've still got 30 minutes left in the session. So as mentioned, things could still change, but at the moment, it is currently Sirotkin at the top of the timing sheets here at Budapest. And of course it is a completely different track to any of the tracks we've been to. This is not a high speed track, it's more of a downforce track. Budapest is, so you need to really have your car set up for the corners very well, it must be said, as Sirotkin now then goes back into the pits, and he just rounds the right-hander. No bus stop chicane now then in the pit lane. It's now what it is in real life, just a straight, well, a little curve, but it's now just a plain straight now to the pit lane, isn't it, in real life? So it's just a curve there, but still, nonetheless, no more bus stop chicane around there. And as mentioned, Sirotkin at the top by just under, I think that's just under 0.2 of a second ahead of Lance Stroll. As we'll wait for another 8 cars to come out. Of course, Yuri Vips has the qualifying ban. He will not take part in this session. Here's Lucas Jura. He's just going to come back into the pits for Vortex as he flings the car to the right. And currently finding himself in 6th at the moment, so he's doing quite a decent job at the moment in this qualifying session. As Jura just goes around the right-hander and into the pits he will go. And so Jura in the pits, and there are his mechanics. And so he'll get served, as you can see. And we just, as mentioned, wait for another set of cars to go out onto the track. And at the moment, there doesn't seem to be that much activity. I say that, but here comes Pierre Gasly now then, who's going to come out onto the track. And of course, Oliver Glazebrook pointed this out behind the scenes, that effectively he believes that the championship will be down between the 2 Red Bull Academy drivers, but with Norris and Gasly possibly waiting in the wings in case either one of them slip up. And we've seen the last 2 weekends now that the Red Bull Academies are prone to slipping up. Of course, Russell crashed out at Magny-Cours down at turn 3, and then of course we had the throttle problem from Felix Rosenqvist, which cost him a chance of increasing his lead more, which is why now it's level at the top of the championship between Russell and Rosenqvist, with Russell leading it because of the fact he's got more wins than Rosenqvist this season. So Gasly will round the right-hander as he will now come up towards the chicane as he prepares to start his next flying lap. Of course, he took pole last time out in Germany for the feature race. Let's see if he'll be able to do that this weekend here in Budapest. And of course, it was at this weekend 2 seasons ago, this particular race, of course, where Gasly was able to pull back in the championship and make himself a title threat 2 seasons ago when he was part of Willow's Grand Prix. Well, maybe this weekend he could try and do that. It seems to be a track that suited him in the past, of course, especially last season when he wasn't at his strongest last season, it must be said. Just did not have the season underneath him. But he's still putting a good performance, especially considering Academy got their only victory last season at this track, and that was with the man who replaced Stroll for the remainder of the season at Academy, Nicholas Latifi. But you see Gasly now then starts his lap. He's just come down the pit straight. A few more cars going out of the pit lane, including teammate Sergio Sette Camara. As Gasly now then comes up towards turn 1 on the track. He flings the car in. And I wonder if that's where we'll probably see some overtaking being done during the race. Hopefully. It's now coming up now towards turn 3, because even that right-hander is classed as turn 2 on the track. And down through turn 4 we go before going up towards turn 5, which is that quick left-hander on the track. And Gasly now then will come up towards that corner as he flings the car in. And using that little bit of curb on the outside as he rounds the right-hander. And using quite a lot of curb on the outside before approaching the right-left chicane. And Gasly now then pushing very hard to see what he can do on his first flying lap as he rounds the S's now then on the track. And let's see what Gasly's able to do down on his lap, using a bit of the curb on the outside as he rounds the final few turns. Well, coming up towards the end of Sector 2, I should say, around this right-hander. Now a little bit of a longer run now than what it used to be. A longer run now then down towards this right-hander. And now up towards the final 2 corners then will go Pierre Gasly. And let's see what he's able to do then as he rounds the second to last corner. Up towards the final corner then will go Pierre Gasly. And let's see what he's able to do now then as he'll go down the pit straight. And across the line goes the Frenchman. And Gasly, what's the time going to be? And he goes 4th fastest for the moment. So P4 for Pierre Gasly at this stage. Alex Lynn in the Macamo comes down the pit straight. Across the line he will go. And he slots to P2 at the moment. So Lynn getting himself onto the front row at this stage. Lance Stroll looking quite strong around here in Budapest. Let's see what he can do on this lap. Stroll across the line. And he doesn't improve. Remains 3rd for the moment. Here comes Norman Nato in the light base Sony racing car. Nato will cross the line. And he goes 7th fastest for the moment. Jolyon Palmer, the man who won the sprint race last weekend, goes 7th fastest in the Willows Grand Prix car. P9 for Santiago Euricia. Joel Eriksson, what can he manage? And he goes 17th for the moment. Here is Louis Razio on his 2nd flying lap. Rounds the second to last corner. And let's see what Razio can do then on this lap then as he comes around the final turn and onto the pit straight now then will go Louis Razio. And Razio now then is going to cross the line. And is this going to be an improvement? It isn't. He remains 12th at the moment. Here comes Felix Rosenqvist. He crosses the line. What's the time going to be? And he goes fastest. So Rosenqvist goes to the top by a big amount, it must be said. So a very big gap between himself and Sorokin, I believe. I could be wrong on that. Still 16th for Dan Ticktum. Nick de Vries goes 13th for the moment in this session. Here comes Mitch Evans in the Vortex. So far being outpaced by Euro, but let's see what he can do. Can the Kiwi improve? Across the line he goes, and he does, but only up to 14th place. Euro seems to have the upper hand on him around here at Budapest at this stage. But at the moment it is Rosenqvist fastest, with Sirotkin in 2nd, and in 3rd place I believe it is Alex Lynn. That's so far what the top 3 currently looks like at this stage. Rosenqvist the fastest, and at this stage if he can get pole position today, he will retake the lead in the Drivers' Championship by 2 points ahead of Russell. So if he can get pole, he will retake the lead in the Drivers' Championship, considering the pair of them were level coming into this. So now Rosenqvist will round the right-hander as he uses that little bit of curb on the outside before approaching the final few turns. And let's see what Felix can do then on this lap as he will now come up towards the final 2 turns. And Rosenqvist now then comes into the pits, and we'll have a quick look once he comes back into the pits to see what the leaderboard looks like. Just over 23 minutes to go in this qualifying session to determine the grid for the feature race here at Hungary tomorrow. As Rosenqvist now then comes back into pit lane in the Red Bull Academy, as some more cars are waiting to go out onto the track. And there are the Red Bull Academy mechanics. And let's see what the top 5 currently looks like. It's Rosenqvist fastest by 0.5 of a second at the moment, from Sirotkin 2nd, Lynn 3rd, Stroll in 4th, and then we saw Russell rounding out the top 5, I believe that's said. So that's that, as it was Russell in the top 5. He's just gone out onto the track, but the man who's out on track first of this group is Lando Norris in the light base Sony racing car as he heads down the hill through the right-hander, as he will now come up towards the next left-hander on the track as he flicks the car in, using a little bit of curve on the outside as he'll now round the right-hander. And using that little bit of outside there then before he approaches the right-left chicane. And out the corner we go before approaching the S's. And now around the right-hander goes Lando Norris as he will approach the next section of corners. And Norris now then coming out the corner, using that little bit of curb on the outside as he'll now come up towards the final few turns. Out the corner he goes now then, as he will now approach the second to last corner. And Norris about to start his lap as mentioned. George Russell out on the track, looking to improve from 5th at this stage. No behind Masashita out there, as is Sergei Sirotkin, looking to try and grab pole back from Rosenqvist if he can, but he's got to find at least just under 5 attempts to get it back onto pole. Sean Galisle out there, as is Santiago Euricia. Sasha Fenestraz Felix Rosenqvist, the current pole sitter, is back out onto the track, as is Joel Eriksson, Luca Giotto, Lando Norris. Has just started the lap, Alex Lynn, George Russell, Palmer's just come out, as has Gasly. And that will be that then, really. So we'll go to Norris then, who's on the lap as he rounds turn 3 on the track, heading down the hill towards turn 4. And he'll now go up the hill towards turns 5 on the track. A tap on the brakes through the left-hander, using a little bit of curb on the outside as he'll come round the right-hander, and using a lot of curb on the outside there, to try and see if he can get a quicker exit through the chicane. Goes Norris. And using all the curb on the outside there, as he will now approach the S's now then on the track. And let's see what Norris can do as he approaches the end of the second sector. So far looks to be a clean lap for the Brit at this stage, as he now heads down towards the final few turns. Around the right-hander he will go now then, as he will approach the second to last corner. And let's see what Norris is able to do then on this lap. Can he try and get himself towards the front row of the grid, as he will now round the final turn and onto the pit straight he will go. And Norris now then will come across the line. Lando Norris, let's see what he can do, and he improves to go up to 6th place, so only getting 1 place as a result as Lynn starts lap. George Russell crosses the line, remains 5th at the moment, clearly not suited to this track compared to teammate Rosenqvist, it must be said, as here comes Nobuharu Matsushita down in 20th. Is this going to be an improvement for the Japanese driver across the line? And it is. He goes up to 10th, so into the top 10 goes Matsushita. As not an improvement for Sirotkin, he remains 2nd at this stage. Here comes Sean Galayo, who will round the final turn. And let's see what the Indonesian driver can do as he comes down the pit straight and across the line he will go. Is this going to be an improvement? It is. He goes up to 9th, so he outpaces Matsushita at this stage, pushing him back outside the top 10. Up into 11th goes Euricia, a slight improvement for the Uruguay driver. Here comes Sasha Fenestraz. Across the line goes the Frenchman, and he improves but remains in effectively last at the moment because Phipps is not taking part in this session. Here comes Rosenqvist. Can he improve on his current pole time as he comes out of the final corner? Onto the pit straight goes Rosenqvist. Is this going to be an improvement? It isn't. He's remains on a 1:25.570. Nobody can seem to touch him in qualifying so far. Ericsson remains 20th at this stage as an improvement for Giotto, but it's only 12th fastest at this stage, still being outpaced by teammate Sirotkin. Here's Alex Lynn, who's currently in the top 3 in the Macamo. Let's see what he's able to produce then on this lap as he comes up now towards the final turn. And now down the pit straight he will go, and Lynn is going to cross the line. And let's see what he can do. He doesn't improve and remains 3rd fastest for the moment, not even getting onto the front row at this stage. Gasly doesn't improve, remains 7th, as Palmer remains 8th at this stage. And so that's that really. And so at the moment it is still Rosenqvist that's fastest at the moment, with Sirotkin in 2nd and Lynn running at the top 3. Gasly down in 7th at the moment, clearly not suited to this track this weekend, it must be said. And but we'll have to wait and see as the session progresses, as we have now just over 18 minutes to go in this qualifying session to determine the grid for tomorrow's feature race, as we're 11 minutes away from the 5:30 mark. 41 minutes away, no sorry, 41 minutes away from the qualifying session for IFMC GP3. As around the chicane goes Gasly, as Gasly will now approach the S's now then as he rounds the section of corners. And coming off the corner now then we will go as he comes around the final few turns, as he will be coming back into the pits this lap. And up towards the final few turns will go Gasly. As mentioned, he's coming back into the pits this lap as he will now approach the second to last corner. And as he now comes into the pits, and Gasly in, as he's currently 7th fastest at this stage. So Gasly in, and meantime Nick de Vries has come out onto the track. He's struggling down in 15th. His teammate way outpacing him so far here at Budapest. De Vries only 15th at the moment in this session. GRM coming into this weekend only 8th in the team's championship, which is odd considering at the beginning of the season they were in 3rd for most of the season, but they've slipped back now down to 8th place behind the likes of Willows Grand Prix, Vortex Racing, Macamo Motorsport Academy, East Midlands Racing, Light Base Sony Racing, and of course Red Bull Academy. So they're behind 7 teams at this stage, when they were only behind 2 teams at the beginning of the season. So how things have changed during the course of the season, and they're hoping to try and rectify that in his final few races of the season. As De Vries starts his lap now then, as he'll now head down towards turn 1. He'll be hoping there'll be no traffic that's going to impede him, as Dan Ticktum there just came out onto the track for ISPCA Racing, as De Vries rounds the first corner, and he will now come towards through turn 2, and then up towards turn 3 he'll go around the left-hander of turn 3, and now down through turn 4 on the track goes De Vries, down in 15th, looking to try and get the car into the top 10 if he can. And looks like so far Rosenquist has romped away with it in this qualifying session, and so far I think just under 5 tenths in front of Sirotkin so far in this qualifying session, and looking to try and see if he can increase that gap a little bit more in this session. So De Vries rounds the chicane on the track up towards the S's. Now then goes De Vries, as he will now come around the S's, and now up towards the right-hander we will go, and now heading down the hill towards the final few turns as he rounds the right-hander, and De Vries pretty soon about to start to finish off his next flying lap, his current flying lap I should say, as he comes around the second to last corner. Up towards the final corner goes the Dutchman, and let's see what he's able to produce this time by as he heads down the pit straight and across the line. Let's see, is this going to be an improvement? It isn't. He remains 15th at this stage, Ticktum behind, starting a lap, as is Sirotkin. And now it says Razio, who looks to be on improvement on his personal best, only by 300ths though. He's up on his personal best by in the middle sector. But let's see what Razio can do this time by, as he will come up now towards the final turn. And the Willows Grand Prix driver heads down the pit straight, and across the line he will go. And let's see what he's able to do. And he does improve, but he remains 16th at this stage. He's still struggling compared to teammate Palmer. As Fenestraz behind starts a lap, here comes Sergio Seti Camara, clearly struggling in this session, but can this be an improvement for the Brazilian across the line? And he does improve, only by 1,000 though, remains 19th. Camara definitely not suited to this track at all. Still 10th for Norman Nato, so in the cusp of the top 10. Stroll improves, but remains in 4th place at this stage. As up into 5th place goes Mitch Evans, so that bunches Russell down to 6th. Up to the top 5 goes Mitch Evans in the Vortex. Here's teammate Lucas Jura, who rounds the final turn, and let's see what Jura can do on this lap as he heads down the pit straight, and across line he goes. Russell is behind him on the track, and he remains 15th. Russell stays 6th for the moment, clearly struggling around him at Budapest. As still 10th is Sean Galile. He's still in the cusp of the top 10 at this stage. Dan Ticktum in the RSPCA Racing car will now cross the line. And is this going to be an improvement? It isn't. He remains 18th for the moment in this session. Sergei Sirotkin crosses the line, stays 2nd for the moment in this session. Here comes Lando Norris in the light-based Sony Racing car. And still 7th at this stage is the Brit. But let's see what he can do as he rounds the final turn, and onto the pit straight we will go. And Norris now then will cross the line, and he goes up to 6th, so that pushes Russell down to 7th. Russell struggling in this session so far. Fenestraz goes up to 18th, so he's out of last place, but still not great for the Frenchman at this stage. But at the moment it is still Rosenquist fastest, Sirotkin 2nd, Lynn in 3rd, Stroll 4th, and now rounding up the top 5 is Mitch Evans at this stage. So that's that really. George Russell, the current championship leader, down in 7th place, and at this stage Rosenquist, if he can hold on to pole, will retake the lead in the Drivers' Championship and lead it by 2 points going into the feature race tomorrow. So that's that really. As now around the right hander will go Sirotkin, as he uses quite a lot of curb on the outside before approaching the final few turns. And Sirotkin going back into the pits, the man currently 2nd place at this stage. Trying to look for a little bit more of an edge. You only have one more flying lap to do as we are into the final 12 minutes of qualifying here at the Hungaroring in Budapest. As round up towards the last 2 turns goes Norris, and he'll be coming back into the pits this time by. In he goes, and so he's done with that lap then. Fenestraz in. Giotto now then out on the track, and he's down in 13th at the moment, way outpaced by teammate Sirotkin so far here in qualifying, as he heads down the hill through the right-hander up towards the left-hander on the track. Then we'll go Giotto, and as he will round up the left-hander, using a tad bit of curb on the outside as he rounds the right-hander on the track, and up towards now then the chicane. We'll go Giotto, and up towards the S's we will go, and so now around the right-hander, and up towards the second to up towards the second, the sector 2 then goes Giotto, and the beginning of sector 3 he will start his next lap. Joel Eriksson out on the track, as is Pierre Gasly. We also have Nobuharu Matsushita out on the track, as is Nick De Vries, Santiago Urishia, Norman Nato, Jolyon Palmer, Felix Rosenqvist, Louis Razier, Luca Sciorra, and we'll be expecting Alex Lynn and Lance Stroll to join these guys very soon. Giotto now then has started the lap as he goes down the pit straight, down towards turn 1 on the track, as he rounds the first turn on the track now then. Giotto coming off the turn, and looking to try and get a good lap underneath him if he can, to try and get his EMR into the top 10 if he can, as he rounds turn 3 on the track, and then down towards turn 4 he will go. And now up towards the left-hander on the track will go Luca Giotto, as he comes up now then towards the left-hander. Out the corner he goes, using a little bit of curb on the outside as he'll now round the right-hander, as he's just come off of sector 1. And up towards now then the quick right-left chicane on the track, as he flicks the car in through the corner. And now up towards the S's, flicking the car in through the corner, as he comes off the corner now then. Through the left-hander we will go, and now up towards the final few turns now then, as we will now approach the end of sector 2, as he's now into the beginning of sector 3. And let's see if this is going to be an improvement for the young Italian as he rounds the second to last corner. Up towards the final turn then we'll go Luca Giotto, and let's see what he's able to do now then. Around the final corner and onto the pit straight goes Luca Giotto, as he heads down the pit straight, and across the line he will go, and he goes up to 11th with that lap. So P11 for Luca Giotto at this stage, as Lynn starts the lap, so still just outside the top 10 is Luca Giotto at this stage. Joel Eriksson down in 21st, can he improve? He does. Up to 14th place goes Joel Eriksson, so a big improvement there for the Swede. As here is Pierre Gasly, and I don't know if Matsushita impeded him in a way during his laps, but he appeared to be down on his personal best in the middle sector, and this is his penultimate flying lap if he's able to get a final flying lap in time. But Gasly comes down the pit straight and across the line it goes, and he's lost a heap of time due to Matsushita and remains 8th for this stage. Still 15th for Matsushita, so he might have got affected as well. De Vries down in 17th. Can he improve? The young Dutchman crosses the line and goes up to 15th place, so still way off the pace from teammate Lance Stroll. 13th still for Santiago Urishia, still 9th for Jolyon Palmer. Here comes current pole sitter Felix Rosenqvist, who heads down the pit straight, and is this going to be an improvement for Rosenqvist? And it isn't. He remains on 125.570, and so far clearly suited to this track more than the others at this stage. Palmer will now cross the line, and he improves on his final flying lap, but remains... Oh no, that's Razier, I do apologise. Razier goes up to 9th, ahead of teammate Palmer, so that's a big improvement for Louis Razier there. An improvement for Luca Sciorra, but he remains 18th at this stage. Here comes Alex Lynn. Can he improve? And he doesn't. He remains 3rd at this stage. So Razier pulling out a big lap on his final lap to get up to 9th and outpacing now so far teammate Jolyon Palmer. Both Willows Grand Prix cars locking out row 5 at this stage. Here comes Lance Stroll, who rounds the final turn, and down the pit straight he will go. And Stroll now then will cross the line. And let's see what the Canadian can do. He doesn't improve and remains in 4th place on his final flying lap, but still a good qualifying session for Lance Stroll here at Budapest. Anybody else on a flying lap so far? Nope, as we come down towards the final 7 minutes of qualifying to determine the grid for the feature race tomorrow. We've now just reached the 5:30 mark, so we're half an hour away from the GP3 qualifying session here at Budapest, as Stroll heads down the hill towards the quick left-hander on the track, and so around that left-hander he will go, as he will come up now then towards the right-hander. Stroll coming off the turn as he will now approach the chicane, the right-left chicane on the track. On the right, then the left, and then up towards the S's. Then we'll go to Canadian as he rounds that left-hander. Then through the right he'll go. A lot of curb being used on the outside as he'll now go up towards the last few turns on the track. And let's see what Stroll is able to do then on this lap. Down towards the right-hander he will go, using quite a lot of curb on the outside as he will now approach the final 2 turns on the track, as Stroll now then comes into the pits. So Stroll in, and we're down to the last 6 minutes of qualifying here at Budapest. And so in the pit lane now then goes Lance Stroll, and so now he's in, and he's currently 4th at the moment in this stage, as we've got a few more cars now out on track while we were talking. Dan Ticktum's come out, as is Sergio Setikamara, who's down in 21st at the moment. He's definitely struggling around here and looking to improve. George Russell, Sasha Fenestraz, Mitch Evans, Lando Norris, Nobuharu Matsushita, Santiago Urishia, Sean Galayo, we'll be expecting Luca Giotto, Joel Eriksson and Pierre Gasly to come out on the track a little bit later. As Ticktum now then rounds the final few turns to prepare his next flying lap, down in 20th at the stage, as we just have just over 5 minutes of this qualifying session remaining. Ticktum rounds the second to last corner, up towards the final corner, then we'll go the Brit. And let's see what Ticktum can do then on this lap as he heads down the pit straight, using a lot of curb on the outside, as he'll now head down towards turn 1 on the track now then. Down towards turn 1, we'll go Dan Ticktum. Let's see how he'll do on this lap as he rounds the first corner on the track, and so far looks to be a clean first corner for Ticktum. Let's see if it's going to be like that for the rest of his lap now then, as he rounds the left-hander and through turn 3 and then down towards turn 4 on the track, as they will now go now then towards the left-hander. He'll soon be approaching the end of sector 1 in a little bit. Up towards the left-hander he goes. Around the left-hander goes the young Brit, as he will now approach the chicane. To the right, then the left-hander we will go. And Ticktum doing a good job so far, no mistakes being made for the young Brit. But let's see if he's able to keep that up, as he will now approach the end of sector 2 on the track. He's the only RSPCA racing car qualifying today, of course, because of course his teammates got the qualifying ban, so he'll be starting in 22nd on the grid for tomorrow's feature race, but who'll be joining him on the back row? That is going to be the question for him as far as he's concerned. Round the final 2 turns, we'll go Dan Ticktum in the RSPCA racing car. Let's see what he's able to produce then. Up towards the final corner then goes Dan Ticktum, and he'll soon come down the pit straight. And across the line comes the young Brit. Ticktum across the line. Is this going to be an improvement? And it is, but remains in 20th, so still effectively second to last. Here comes Sergio Setikamara. Is this going to be an improvement? And it is. Up to 15th he goes on his final flying laps of Ticktum. So both RSPCA racing cars are going to be starting on the back row of the grid. George Russell, can he find an improvement? He can, but only up to 6th place in this session. So only a row 3 start for current championship leader George Russell, as it's still 20th for Sasha Fenestraz. Here comes Mitch Evans. Across the line comes the Kiwi, and he doesn't improve, remains 5th place in this session on his final flying lap with just 3 minutes left in the session. Joel Eriksson about to start a lap. Here comes Lando Norris in the light-based Sony racing car as he heads down the pit straight, and across the line goes Norris, and he goes up to 2nd with a 1:25.925. So Norris now gets onto the front row, pushes Sirotkin back onto the 2nd row of the grid, as not an improvement for Matsushita. He's still 18th, still 14th for Urishia, still 11th for Galayo. Here comes Sergei Sirotkin. Can he find an improvement? And no, he can't. He remains 3rd with that lap. Here comes his teammate Luca Giotto. Across the line comes the young Italian, and he remains 12th with that lap, as Pierre Gasly remains 8th in this session, still appearing to struggle around this track. As we look for other people on a flying lap, that would have to be Joel Eriksson, who's down in 16th at the moment as he rounds the right-left chicane. So we come down towards the final 2 minutes of qualifying. Eriksson rounds the S's now then on the track, around the right-hander, using quite a lot of curb on the outside, as he will now approach the end of sector 2 on the track. around the right-hander goes Joel Eriksson. And now through the final few turns will go the Swede, and let's see what Joel Eriksson is able to do on this lap. Now around the second to last corner, as he will now approach the final turn on the track. Let's see what Joel Eriksson is able to do on this lap. Then around the final corner and onto the pit straight goes Joel Eriksson, as he will now cross the line. Let's see what he's able to do, and he remains 16th with that lap there then, as everybody else comes back into the pits. As looks like well, there's a few guys in the pits looking to do mileage runs, it appears, because there's probably now, because as you can see, there's not a lot of time left to do flying laps, so a lot of these guys are probably going to be coming out to just do a mileage run for tomorrow's feature race. And one of them includes the man who looks to have taken pole, Felix Rosenqvist, and as a result retaking the lead in the Drivers' Championship. As now up towards the right-hander will go Rosenqvist. As now he uses a lot of curb on the outside in towards that right-left chicane. And in towards the S's we will go. And so now around the right-hander we will go. And now up towards this right-hander we go. And in towards the last few turns will go Joel Eriksson, as he rounds the second to last corner. And into the pit lane then goes Eriksson. And so he goes in pit lane now then on the track. And so into the pits he goes. And so he will now soon slot into his box, as the guys that are doing mileage runs have gone out onto the track. Alex is about to complete his. Soon it will be Rosenqvist and Palmer. In fact, they're the only three out there. Vips, of course, watching from the sidelines due to his qualifying ban. And here comes Alex Lind, who's just going to round and finish off his flying lap, as the checkered flag is out, meaning it is the end of the session. So people just finishing off their flying laps. Lind finished off and completes his mileage run. Here comes pole sitter Felix Rosenqvist, and he completes his mileage run. And now Jolyon Palmer will in the Willows Grand Prix car, and he finishes off his mileage run. And there you have it then. It says qualifying over, and as a result, for I believe the fifth time this season, it is Felix Rosenqvist on pole position for tomorrow's feature race by a clear 0.3 of a second. A really dominant performance from Felix Rosenqvist here in Budapest, and his nearest rival all the way down in 7th place. He has a bigger chance of increasing his lead in the championship tomorrow. So there you have it then, guys. After all of that, here's the grid for the feature race for IFMC GP2. Felix Rosenqvist is on pole position with Lando Norris in 2nd. Sergei Sirotkin is in 3rd with Alex Lind 4th. Lance Stroll in 5th. Mitch Evans in 6th. George Russell all the way down in 7th with Pierre Gasly in 8th. Then it's the two Willows Grand Prix cars locking out row 5. Louis Razzie in 9th with Jolyon Palmer in 10th. Jean Galao 11th. Luca Giotto 12th. Norman Nato 13th with Santiago Urishi in 14th. And if we scroll down the rest of the field, it is Sergio Sette Camara 15th, Joel Eriksson in 16th, with Nick de Vries all the way down in 17th, with Nobuharu Matsushita 18th, Lucas Joa in 19th, with Sasha Fenestraz 20th, Dan Ticktum 21st, and due to his qualifying ban, Yuri Vips is 22nd and last. So there you have it then, guys. That is the grid for the for tomorrow's feature race, and that's the end of the GP2 qualifying session. It's looking to be a very interesting race tomorrow, hopefully, but we will wait and see whether anybody can try and get the jump on Rosenqvist into turn 1. It'd be very interesting to see, as they'll be the first to test out this new layout for IFMC here at Budapest. But stick around now, guys, because coming up next is the qualifying session for IFMC GP3. So if you want to go and grab a quick drink, then you can. But until then, I'm JWF1, and I'll see you guys in just a little bit for the GP3 qualifying session.